from Hollie's Hotspurs. So, Hollie, thanks for joining us.
No, thank you. Cheers. I say it's probably not in the best circumstances after the weekend.
Yeah, I know. Sorry to bring you on that one. I know you've just had your own podcast just finished, so you've literally come from that one onto this one. So I appreciate you've had not much break, and I won't keep you too long. But obviously, you've been talking about the kind of match reaction from the weekend. What's the barometer of feeling amongst the Spurs fans at the moment?
I mean, with every fan base, there's extremes. So a lot of people are frustrated, annoyed. Andrew's only got one way of playing, this, that, and the other. And then you've got the other side, that there's perspective in a sense that he's still not even a season into this journey so far. And don't get me wrong, it is annoying to go away to Newcastle, lose 4-0 in a place where you think we're on the road to something. We've got a lot of our games coming, and we've just had a major blip. But I think the fan base on a whole are okay. We're sticking in there a little bit.
I mean, as a West Ham fan, I can say that Newcastle was not an easy place to go. So, yeah, it wasn't a happy hunting ground for the Hammers either. So I feel your pain, mate. I feel your pain. Well, that wasn't 4-0, but we've been on the wrong end of those, so don't worry about it. When I look at it's strange, when I look at the statistics, if you just cover up the scoreline and look at the stats for that game, 27% possession Newcastle had, 189 passes compared to your 575. And they had a passing accuracy of 65% versus 86%. But they scored 4 goals from 5 shots, which is, yeah, I mean, that's football. That's the wonder of the Premier League. But who was to blame for that loss?
To be honest, I think it was a lot of things. I think our midfield at the moment is all over the gaff, which is putting it plain and simple. At the start of the season, obviously, we had Basuma flying. But I think ever since he's had that red card, his performance dipped. Maddison, since his injury, hasn't been the same. We've just kind of lost that balance in midfield. So when you're playing such a high line and you lose the ball because you misplaced the pass or you haven't moved it very quick, you're very much under a lot of pressure. And I think that was evident, obviously, with that. I think it's the third goal where the ball just got pinged over to Isaac and he was just straight through on goal because our defenders were so high up. Yeah. And I think as well, like a lot of Spurs fans are thinking, I think when we haven't got those players performing to the heights they should be, we make a lot of mistakes. And in that game, there was so many mistakes. And I'm not saying that's a reason for why we were so bad. I just think that combination of everything in that game just resulted in that.
Yeah, I bet it's one of those games where you were maybe cheering for Arsenal to beat Villa. Was that the case? Not that much.
Well, no, not for me personally. It was a strange place to be on Twitter that day because obviously, like I say, you see fans saying, "Oh, just let Arsenal win. Like it's fine. It means we can get top 4." I'm thinking, no. In what right mind do you want your rivals to win every game? That's not how it goes. So yeah, no, it was a very strange place to be. But Twitter is a strange place. So there we go.
Yeah, that's very true. And I can't see Arsenal winning all those games anyway. I still think they'll finish third. I do. I think Liverpool come second and City will win it. It was kind of my early prediction. I mean, obviously you're strong. Your home form compared to your away form is kind of night and day. I think you're third in the table for home form, but ninth away. So I mean, you've only won 2 in the last 10 games away, which is obviously where the problem lies. Really, does Ange, coming back to something you said earlier, does Ange not change his tactics when you're away?
Yeah, I really don't know what it is. I think there's a lot of fans that are saying Ange doesn't have a plan B. But I think to myself, what other top managers have a plan B? Yes, okay, they make slight tweaks, they make adaptations, but Pep plays the way he plays and it works perfectly. But yes, it's taken a little bit of time. You look at Arteta, as much as I don't like him, he's taken time to embed his philosophy. And okay, they've had a bit of a blip, but it's working. So I don't know why fans go and say, well, he ain't got a plan B. He needs to sort it out. I think for me, if you get plan A right and you've got the players that you know will play your system, then you shouldn't have to worry, apart from making minor tweaks.
Yeah. And where do the kind of minor tweaks need to come from? Or are there major tweaks? Where are the major tweaks needing to come from?
I think at the moment we just haven't got that balance in midfield. I think a lot of Spurs fans are saying we need that number 6 because at the moment we're seeing Maddison drop so deep and he's not been able to do what we know he can do. And I think where Basuma's having bad performances, he can't quite do that role either. So I think a major tweak would be to push Maddison up and force him to stay high, but make sure we've got someone that can play that number 6 role, which at the moment I don't think we necessarily have.
Yeah. I mean, the Newcastle game was a bit of an anomaly because I think you were just outpaced. Your defence was outpaced all over the shop. And we do know that you've got one of the fastest defences in the Prem. But yeah, it just seemed to be such a high line consistently. It was 2 long balls, I think, that you conceded against, which was which is just really strange to repeat that mistake in the same game.
And I think, again, that's because Eddie did his homework. I know that, obviously, we talk about the fact that, yes, Andrew's got one way of playing. But I think to myself, if we don't make that mistake where we lose the ball high at the pitch and that ball goes straight over, then we're not discussing it. So I think once we sort out that midfield balance, yes, okay, it may happen now and again, but it's not going to happen as often and as catastrophic as that did in that game.
Yeah, fair enough. I know that when we had another Spurs fan on, Anthony, he was talking about if there was one, Kane's irreplaceable. I'm not saying you can replace him, but if you were going to replace him with anybody, Isak would be the person that you would love to sign. Obviously, he scored 2 against you, and he's really tricky player. Is that someone that you think you'd need to sign, or is there another striker you've got in mind?
That is funny you say that, actually, because I think on tonight they were the guests that I had on one mention Isak, in the sense that he is that player that's quick. But if you need a goal, he's that out and out striker that will give you that. And I think you also think that he's Premier League proven. And the fact if he's banging goals against us, then fine, let's take those goals away from Newcastle and give them to us. But I think you are right. I think we do have a gaping hole in someone that can be an out and out striker, because Sonny's brilliant, but I still don't think he's that central player when teams against us are playing so condensed. He can't manage to break through the lines, where someone's like Isak, he'll be able to do that, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And how old is Son now?
It's a very good question. I should probably know. But he's getting on a bit, to be fair.
He's the wrong side of 30s. I mean, I wouldn't mind being that side of 30, but he's over 30 though, isn't he now?
I think so, or near thereabouts. But he is, yes, getting on for a player. And I think there is going to be a time where we are looking to obviously replace him in terms of a younger outfit, because he's sadly not going to be here forever, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Now, your next game is against Arsenal, isn't it? That the next match?
Yep.
Obviously, they've had a blip, a dip in form. So it's going to be a really interesting London derby. Do you think you'll come out on top on that one?
It's a difficult one, because obviously if you asked me before this, I'd say I'm terrified, because just of the way they've been playing, and I can hold my hands up and say, look, they have been brilliant this season, and it pains me to say that, but having that little blip, and I know they talk about us being bottlers, but the pressure is really on them at the moment, and the fact that they're buckling a little bit makes me very happy. And the sense for us, the fact that it is at home, and you talk about our home form, that also makes me feel better. And the fact that they've got like obviously Bayern in the week, I think they've got Wolves and Chelsea potentially before they play us. And then the only downside of that is we've got quite a long break. We don't seem to be doing very well with these breaks. We kind of lose our rhythm. But saying that, I feel slightly more confident that they're buckling.
Yeah. I was looking at your remaining games, actually. You do have a game in hand on Villa, obviously, but you still have to play Arsenal, Chelsea, Liverpool and Man City, which is a horrendous run-in. Where do you think you'll finish realistically?
I honestly do not have a clue, to be honest with you. And the thing is, as much as I really, really want top four, I wouldn't sit here and say I don't want top four, but I also think to myself, as cliche as it sounds, what will be, will be. I think right now we are probably too soon to go back into Champions League in terms of, like I say, fixing that number 6 role, fixing an out-and-out striker. I still think we need time to kind of bed in Andrew's system. So I think going in Champions League is going to be an awful big ask for us. So if we do finish 5th, and obviously those places don't come down to us for Champions League, it is what it is. But like I said, there's so many fixtures coming up that are incredible difficulty for us. So I'd like to say top 4, but realistically, probably 5th.
Yeah, fair enough. And last question, really. I know with the FFPs being quite, the Premier League's coming down hard on a lot of clubs at the moment. Is there any rumblings? I've no idea on Tottenham. Is there any rumblings that there could be a penalty coming your way?
I don't think so, because of one thing, as you know, with Mr. Levy, he only spends what he makes, and then he doesn't want to spend it. So I don't think there is. I think that's probably the only one thing I can hold my hands up and clap Daniel Levy, in the sense that he has kind of done things right when it comes to FFP. So yeah, I think we might be all right.
Yeah, fair enough. Actually, there was one more question. There's a question that's scrolling along the screen. I think I'm going to ask all the guests this tonight. But Roy Keane recently said that Erling Haaland was a League Two player. If he is a League Two player, what club should Darwin Núñez play for?
Oh my word, I have no idea. You're asking someone that knows Tottenham. Jesus, what made him come up with that question? Really,
well, basically, we're saying, are you a fan of Darwin Núñez? Would you take him at Tottenham?
I mean, I probably wouldn't say no, but again, I haven't seen enough of him to put it blankly, and that sounds awful being a football fan, but I literally just watched Tottenham.
Fair enough. Fair enough. In that case, that's probably why you take him. I've seen enough of him. I wouldn't take him at West Ham, I don't think. But Jim is going to rip me apart for saying that, and we're going to bring him on next. Hollie, I know you've done over an hour of talking already. I did promise you that I wouldn't keep you for too long, so thank you very much for coming on. If anybody's watching this in the replay, please do go and check out Hollie's Hotspurs channel. It's great. Obviously, if you're a Tottenham fan, subscribe and enjoy. Thanks, Hollie.
Amazing. Thank you. See you later.
Cheers, mate.